Very few people realize that the air inside your cozy living room can be up to 5 times more polluted than at a busy intersection in the city center. We're used to thinking of our home as a fortress and a quiet harbor, but modern architecture has turned our living spaces into sealed plastic boxes. Furniture made from particle board, wall-to-wall carpet, and even the paint on the walls are constantly releasing harmful substances. Trying to create comfort, we often make a fatal mistake. We use harsh aerosols and synthetic air fresheners that simply lay a new layer of chemicals on top of the old ones, creating a dangerous cocktail for our lungs. But what if I told you there's an alternative, an amazingly simple path suggested by nature itself? In this video, we'll go through 10 effective solutions that can bring true freshness back into your home without any questionable chemicals. I've put together a list of living helpers that work around the clock. And make sure you watch until the end, because number one on our list is a plant that not only cleans the space, but also works like a high-end natural perfume, filling the room with a scent that's hard to replicate in a lab. We'll also talk about a unique night helper that, unlike most plants, keeps producing oxygen exactly when you're asleep. This is a practical guide that will help you turn an ordinary apartment into a place where you can truly breathe freely. Let's get started. If you consider yourself to have a black belt in killing houseplants, golden pothos is your perfect chance at redemption. In English, it's often called devil's ivy, not because it's evil, but because of its incredible resilience. It's ready to grow in almost complete shade and forgive you for weeks of neglect without watering. This plant is the ideal entry point for any beginner who wants to start the journey toward a greener home. Its long, fast-growing vines with heart-shaped leaves don't just decorate your shelves, they can also help reduce formaldehyde and benzene, which are often released from household plastics and modern flooring. The visual effect of pothos is hard to overestimate. Creating real green walls or cascades of foliage, it changes the geometry of the space, bringing a psychological sense of forest coolness and calm. However, if you want this plant to work at full capacity as a natural freshener, it's worth using one simple life hack. Place it in hanging planters. This way, air can circulate freely around the entire leaf mass, allowing the plant to capture fine dust particles more effectively. Remember that clean leaves are directly linked to its performance, so don't be lazy about occasionally wiping down its glossy surface. The only important warning concerns owners of curious cats. Pothos leaves contain calcium oxalates, which can cause irritation if chewed, so hang it higher up. That's where it both looks better and stays safer for your pets. Many of us are used to seeing spider plants in school classrooms or libraries, which is why they're often underestimated and considered boring. In reality, this is one of the most effective plants when it comes to improving indoor air surprisingly fast. In NASA's famous studies, the spider plant was often cited as one of the strongest fighters in removing carbon monoxide and formaldehyde in test conditions. Its uniqueness lies in its impressive growth pace. Thanks to rapid development and the formation of numerous babies on long stems, it actively moves moisture and nutrients through itself, creating a noticeable sensation of freshness in the room. The spider plant works like a gentle, natural humidifier. If the air in your home is dry, this plant can help soften the atmosphere without requiring complicated care. To keep it looking like a magazine cover and not upsetting you with dry, brown tips, it's important to know one secret. This plant is sensitive to fluoride and salts that are often present in tap water. Using filtered water, or water that's been left to sit, can make a big difference. Another huge plus of the spider plant is its total safety. It's a rare exception on our list that is completely non-toxic for cats and dogs. What's more, cats often show great interest in its leaves as a snack, so a spider plant can become a useful and safe addition to your furry friend's menu, while at the same time acting as your personal green filter. Sansevieria, popularly known as mother-in-law's tongue, is true architectural perfection in the botanical world. Its vertical, sword-like leaves look like modern art objects, but their main value lies in the plant's unique biology. While most plants produce oxygen only during the day through classic photosynthesis, Sansevieria uses a special mechanism called CAM photosynthesis. It opens its pores and breathes primarily at night, which makes it an absolute favorite for the bedroom. While you sleep, it quietly continues its work, absorbing carbon dioxide and certain types of volatile compounds. From a household perspective, the stiff, smooth surface of its leaves is an ideal trap for fine household dust. The instruction manual for achieving maximum cleanliness in a room with Sansevieria takes only 2 minutes. Once a week, just wipe the leaves with a damp cloth. You'll be surprised how much gray residue could have ended up in your lungs if not for this green guardian. This plant is also perfect for those who travel frequently on business or simply forget to water their plants. Sansevieria stores moisture inside its dense tissues and would rather you forget about it than fuss over it too much. The main rule is not to overwater, and don't let water sit in the center of the plant. Water the soil instead. Do that, and this night shift guard can serve you for decades, creating that clean, minimal feel so valued in modern interiors. Spathiphyllum, often called the peace lily, brings an air of elegance and calm into the home with its large emerald leaves and snow-white flowers that resemble sails. But its role in freshening the air is much more active than it might seem. This plant can raise indoor humidity by around 5%, which is a critically important factor during the heating season. Higher humidity makes dust and pollen particles heavier, so they fall to the floor more quickly, significantly easing breathing for people sensitive to air quality. The peace lily's white blooms are psychologically associated with order and cleanliness, helping to create a visually harmonious environment. However, when working with spathiphyllum, it's important to avoid one common mistake that can turn its benefit into harm. If you keep the soil constantly wet, you risk root rot, which can quickly fill the room with a heavy basement smell of dampness. Freshness should feel alive, not stale. The plant will tell you when it needs water by slightly drooping its leaves. That's the most reliable indicator. Spathiphyllum also appears on NASA's lists as an effective filter against benzene and trichloroethylene. Be careful if you have pets. Like many other aeroids, peace lilies contain oxalate crystals that can cause severe irritation of the mucous membranes if your pet decides to taste the flower. The Boston fern is a classic of Victorian conservatories that is now making a triumphant return to modern apartments. If your main issue is extremely dry air caused by radiators, this fern can become your best ally. Its fluffy, feathery fronds have an enormous total surface area, making it a powerful natural evaporator. In addition, ferns have shown excellent results in dealing with xylene, a compound often found in hairsprays, perfumes, and cleaning products. The plant absorbs these substances and processes them inside its complex biological system. Keeping a fern healthy requires understanding its nature. It loves stability. If the air becomes too dry, the plant will start shedding lots of small leaves, which can be annoying. But if you find the right spot for it, for example, in a bathroom with a window or next to a desk where a humidifier is running, the fern can turn that area into a true tropical spa. The secret of its freshness lies in the constant movement of moisture. To make sure the fern doesn't become a source of unpleasant smells, give it excellent drainage. Water should never sit in the saucer. In return, it can gift you that feeling of cool, washed air you get in the forest after rain. This plant does demand a bit more attention than the previous entries on our list, but the result, a soft, humidified atmosphere, is well worth it. When we talk about air purification, scale really does matter. One large plant with a well-developed crown often handles filtration and humidification tasks more effectively than a dozen small pots scattered in the corners. The Areca palm, or Dipsis, is a true heavyweight in the world of indoor flora. Its main superpower lies in an incredibly high rate of transpiration. Studies show that a mature plant can evaporate up to about 1 liter of water per day through its many feathery leaves. In modern apartments with active heating, this turns the palm into a full-fledged biological humidifier that works silently and doesn't add to your electricity bill. Beyond its physical effect on air composition, Areca can also help fight so-called visual noise and stress. The large mass of soft greenery and the barely audible rustle of leaves at the slightest movement of air creates a kind of psychological filter in the room. This makes the palm an ideal choice for spacious living rooms or modern open-plan offices where you want to zone the space and lower background anxiety. Caring for it requires attention to light. Areca loves bright but diffused rays. Remember, the greater the leaf surface area, the more dust it can collect, so regular misting and wiping of the foliage will not only keep the palm healthy, but also support that crystal freshness we associate with a tropical forest. Dracaena is often called a mini palm on a stick for its exotic appearance, but behind this decorative look is one of the most powerful biological shields on our list. This plant specializes in fighting the invisible enemies that surround us every day: trichloroethylene, benzene, and formaldehyde. These complex compounds seep into our air from the most ordinary things, from nail polish and carpet cleaners to freshly printed magazines and new furniture. Dracaena absorbs these substances, neutralizing them in its root zone and turning potential toxins into food for symbiotic microorganisms. The variety of Dracaena cultivars lets you choose a plant for any interior, whether it's the elegant red-edged marginata or the fuller Dracaena fragrance. However, this chemical shield has one surprising trait every owner should know about. Dracaena is extremely sensitive to water quality, specifically to fluoride content. If you notice the leaf tips beginning to darken, this may be a signal that your tap water contains too much fluoride or too many minerals. In this way, the condition of your Dracaena can act as a living indicator of your watering conditions. Care itself remains fairly simple. It prefers moderate watering and diffused light, which makes it a reliable long-term partner in creating a clean and safe space. From this point in our list, we move from passive filtration to active natural aromatization. Indoor jasmine is not just a plant, it's your personal biological relaxant. The psychology of scent suggests that the aroma of jasmine can gently influence our emotional state. A number of observations suggest that having this flowering plant at home may help reduce background anxiety and noticeably improve sleep quality. It's important to note that we're talking about creating a favorable atmosphere, not medical treatment, but the relief after a hard day effect from jasmine is often felt almost instantly. Jasmine is an evening plant. Its peak activity and fragrance intensity come when the sun goes down. This makes it an ideal candidate for a relaxation area or bedroom, provided you're not sensitive to strong scents. However, you will have to pay some attention in exchange for this living perfume. Jasmine needs bright light and specific conditions for blooming, including a cool winter rest. This plant is a reward for a patient and attentive owner, but as soon as its white flowers open, filling the room with a delicate, slightly sweet, completely natural aroma, you realize that no synthetic spray from a supermarket can compete with this masterpiece of nature. If jasmine fills a room with fragrance on its own, scented geranium is your interactive freshener that works on demand. Unlike ordinary geraniums, this plant is grown not for large blooms, but for its unique leaves, rich in essential oils. The palette of scents here is astonishing. Depending on the variety, you can get a living aroma of lemon, rose, pine, cinnamon, or even chocolate. The essential oils released by geranium can act like natural antiseptics, helping suppress the growth of certain bacteria in the air and creating a sense of clean freshness. The most interesting thing about scented geranium is its mechanism of aroma release. To smell it, you need to lightly touch the plant or move its leaves. That's why professional decorators recommend placing geraniums in high-traffic areas, in hallways, on narrow windowsills, or next to your desk chair where you'll occasionally brush against it with your shoulder. This plant can also become an indispensable helper in the kitchen. Instead of using harsh chemicals to fight lingering cooking odors, you can simply disturb a bush of lemon-scented geranium. It can override heavy kitchen smells with a fresh citrus trail, while its lacy greenery decorates the space. We've reached the top of our list. If indoor gardening had a premier league, it would be led by Gardenia jasminoides. This plant is often called the queen of home perfume, and that's no exaggeration. The scent of blooming gardenia is considered one of the most expensive, complex, and sensual in the world of high perfumery. A single open flower can fill an entire apartment with a gentle, creamy floral aroma, creating the feeling that you're standing in the lobby of a five-star luxury hotel. This is the very effect that turns an ordinary home into a sophisticated space with a unique atmosphere. However, the status of queen also implies royal whims. Gardenia is a high-maintenance plant. It demands a perfect balance: acidic soil, soft water for irrigation, strictly defined air humidity, and stable temperatures without drafts. Any deviation can cause the plant to drop its buds before it ever gives you its legendary scent. But this difficulty is precisely what makes it valuable. A gardenia in the living room is not just an air freshener, it's a symbol of your skill and care for your home. It is the highest expression of the living freshener concept, where natural aesthetics and an incredible fragrance merge into a single whole, giving you an experience that is simply unavailable to users of household chemicals. Summing up our journey through the world of living fresheners, it's important to understand the main rule. Maximum effect is achieved not by buying a single miracle plant, but by creating a smart ecosystem. The secret of ideal indoor air lies in combining functions. Use filters like sansevieria or spider plants for background purification and nighttime work, and complement them with fragrant plants such as scented geranium or jasmine to shape the mood. This combo lets you influence the environment in a comprehensive way, improving both the physical composition of the air and how your home smells. At the same time, we have to stay realistic. In science, there's the concept of CADR, or clean air delivery rate. Even the densest indoor jungle can't fully replace proper ventilation. Plants are powerful support, natural filters, and excellent humidifiers, but they work best in tandem with regular airing. Think of them as biological tuning for your space that makes the air softer, cleaner, and more pleasant. To keep your green helpers working at 100%, follow a simple hygiene checklist. Give them a warm shower from time to time, make sure drainage is good so you don't get the smell of stagnant water, and never let dust build up on the leaves. Today, you have a great reason to change your habits. This week, try replacing at least one chemical aerosol can with a single living plant from our list. Put it in a visible spot, give it a bit of attention, and simply watch how your perception of your own home begins to change. You'll notice that it becomes easier to breathe, not only physically, but psychologically as well. Natural freshness is not a luxury, it's a basic need of our bodies. Which of these plants is already living with you, or which one are you planning to buy first to freshen your home? Write in the comments. I'm really curious to hear about your experience creating a living interior.